Ready? Box! Alright, we're back with another great chapter. Chapter 1485, titled Ships in the Night. And when I originally read this, I thought maybe Ricardo was going to come across Iji. Because think about it. He's in Japan. He's going to be working out. He's going to be talking to town. Eventually he'll come across his rival. Last time he was here, pretty much he just fought IPPO and went back home. But now he's fighting someone completely different. So maybe like two ships passing, like they never meet each other again. I thought it'd be something like that. Maybe Ricardo's son would pop up and say something. Date's son would pop up and say something crazy to Ricardo. Anyway, let's get to it. We start off as usual. Last chapter left off. It's Ricardo walking in with his team. They say, Bill was saying they forecast storms all over Japan, but looks like the sun came out just as you arrived. That is the Quetzalcoatl for you, which is Aztec sun god, and in Catholicism we seen as Jesus Christ. Have a whole other video based on that. Ricardo states it's just a coincidence. I'm not capable of controlling the weather, what I am capable of. And this gives me a lot of memories of in Vinland Saga when the king says like I can't control the waves. Like I'm just a regular man. That's how they put me out there. It also shows how scary Ricardo really is, because he doesn't see himself as some great, excellent God type figure. He's just a man who does the basics and shreds off the excess. He does the basics perfectly all the time. And boxing itself is a textbook. Like everything has a counter to it. You just focus on the counter, you win. Simple as that. Ricardo says, "It's what I'm capable of is solely confined to the ring. He only has blessings in the ring." Arthur says the strongest man in the world has come to Japan. His next fight draws closer. Now, strongest man is debatable depending on how you see Takamura and what he does. Then we see Imura. Bienvenido a Japón. Bill says that's Imura, our chaperone. She's familiar with both boxing and languages. And Ricardo says, "Oh." Bill says, "English is fine for Ricardo and myself." She says, "I see." And then she just glances over and she notices a familiar figure. She says, "That's Nargo who fought with Sendo before, so he's his sparring partner." There are about 20 people total in his camp. Now, if you remember, Nargo was the guy Sendo fought. He much pinched his rib and threw that crazy smash. And he told Nargo he wants to fight Alfredo next, not Ricardo, which is insane. He popped up again during the sparring match, during the match between Sendo and Ricardo actually fought. So it's good seeing him come back in the story. You know, I like how other characters aren't necessarily forgotten about and come back in. It's good for the lore and shows kind of real life. Imura says, "And they're all in suits. They're taking this seriously. I wonder who would even notice it's a group of boxers." Bill says, "This is a bit sudden, but on the way to the hotel, you could point out some roadwork paths. We want to drop off our luggage and get to the gym as soon as possible. Is that doable?" Moore's surprised. She says, "Right away." It reminds me a lot of David Eagle, where like boxers who come to do their job come to do their job. They don't want to come and mess around. Get in, get to business, and get moving. Moore says, "You want to get moving the second you arrived?" Bill said, "That's always how he is." He said, and Moore thinks to herself, he's almost too serious. He's completely different from the last world champion that left the other day. Talking about Rosario, I love seeing like different pictures of him. He's come back in the story because he has just a crazy look. But he didn't take it seriously. He just kind of did his thing, and he still won in the end, but he didn't take it seriously as he could have, which makes you wonder if he did take it seriously, would Mashiba even have a chance? And might as well have Ricardo Mayorga, who would dye his hair crazy colors too, would smoke cigarettes and grab the opponent's ass like a Sugar Shane Mosley's wife. And some boxers don't care about boxing as much as they should. Mark keeps thinking, "I know you already know this, but the wall you're challenging goes as high as the heavens, Sendo-kun." And we see a glimpse of Ricardo's back in the speeding bullet train. It shows Miyagi looking out the window, looking at a airplane flying high, knowing he's reaching for higher heights, knowing he's going forward. Even though he doesn't necessarily want to without fighting IPPO, he's still being pushed forward. I get back to IPPO residence, the phone rings. IPPO jumps again, going crazy. He says, "Snatch it." "Yes, this is Makanochi." Feline says, "Good evening." He thinks to himself, "Kumi-san." She says, "My brother." He opened his eyes a few times and even responded. It was, and She spawns, he's avoided death. Thank goodness. Now, this doesn't tell us much. He can still be crippled, still be paralyzed, be hurt, but he's not dead. Just such relief. Then we get panels of IPPO getting weak in the knees and dropping down, just showing how relieved he is of that. Like, thanking God for a little bit. He says, that's great. That's so great. I'll come see him soon. Or maybe I should show up out of nowhere. I don't want to do that. Does he have visiting hours yet? People doesn't know what to say really, because think about the words are still ringing true in his mind. She can't leave boxing because of IPPO. Boxing took maybe her only sibling away from her. It's still messing Kumi up. Kumi says he's still in the ICU. It's family only for now. Plus he can't even talk yet. People says, I see. Kumi says, once he's in a state to be seen, I'll call you. I just don't know when that'll be. She says, is there a specific time that or day that you're not available? People says, I'll be gone for 2 days. I'm going to Osaka. Sino-san has a world title match. And then IPPO has a glimpse. He realized what he just said. He's still talking about boxing. He's still dealing with boxing, even though her brother's at his deathbed. And just shows his wane face for a minute. Kumi simply says, I understand. IPPO says, beep, 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 beep. She hung up on him. We see Kumi, phone in her lap, and head in her hand. She's beginning to cry and waiting and thinking about her brother. IPPO looks forward and slams his head against the wall. He's ashamed of what he said and what he did. We see the night sky, we see the sun, and we see a beautiful Japanese temple in the background. As Ricardo's getting to do his wall work, he thinks to himself, the whole route is roughly 3.5 kilometers, 2.17 miles. For now, 3 laps to be sufficient, which is about, 5 miles? 2, 4, 6, about 7 miles? He thinks, what a beautiful scenery. So these are the castles of Japan. I could lose track of time while starting while I run. So I was thinking like, okay, he's having fun, relaxing himself, run through the forest. Like he's gotta meet up with Date while he's here. Date probably gonna press him, say something crazy to him. He starts thinking this. Imari tells him, summers in Japan can be harsh, so please try to run when the sun isn't too hot. She's getting in early to see morning dew, morning fog. He thinks, she said that, didn't she? I mustn't let myself get too careless and run for too long. Is there a good path? That was good advice. I really must thank that chaperone woman. Even still, how majestic this is. We see a figure pass him by. And once the figure passes him, we see a shocked look on his face. And the figure is revealed to be none other than Sendo.
Oh God. Oh God.
Then we get a crazy double panel page of a castle, and it shows Sendo and Ricardo both looking at each other, just staring each other down, both doing their role work. And you can just see the tension right in front of the castle, like a duel. It's almost like a shootout at high noon.
Oh, okay, goddamn.
Sendo faces Ricardo, and his eyes are already crazy.
I start acting retarded in here.
Ricardo says, you look like you want to pounce me at any moment. I prefer we save it for the match. He puts his hands up, Sendo struts over to him, and we see the madness in his eyes still going forward. Ricardo looks at him calmly. You already know what he's thinking in his head. Like, listen, we gotta do it here, we can. I'd rather wait for the match, but I'm not gonna let you just get at me. It reminds me of the time when Joe saw, was it Lopez? Joe saw Lopez, and he got punched at the gym, during the last arc of Ashita no Joe. Supposedly about that too. But just seeing, like, the madness in his eyes. Mind you, his grandma is still in the hospital. He has to do it for her. We don't know if she died or not, if she's still injured or not, what her stance is. He moves closer and cracks his knuckles like he always does. See the madness in his face, and Carl says, such bloodlust. Can you not handle it? And Sendo says, I don't understand what you're saying, but I guess I'll do my role work somewhere else. I don't know what I'll do if I see your face again. I got a reason, I absolutely gotta win. So next time when I see you, it's gonna be a life or death fight. And Sendo runs on, and so does Ricardo. And it says to be continued. Woo! Listen, this was a dope chapter. Now, I didn't really think that he'd come across Sendo. That was a great plot twist. I was gonna see Date at least, or maybe Date's son or somebody. But Sendo was crazy. because he's been gone all last chapter. Well, not all last chapter, but the bottom part of it. We know what he's going into, what he's doing, done. The fight's still gonna go on like I predicted, and man, it's gonna be a doozy. I don't necessarily know if Sendo can win the match, obviously, but anything happen to Ippo. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. He beat Ippo twice, and he beats Ricardo. Then Ippo got to fight him again, so it's almost like he made himself into the final big bad. But I just don't really see that happen. But man, great chapter. I get this video out early. I'll do my more thoughts as it goes on, but solid. And it just shows testament of how George Morikawa really writes, that even after all these years, the story is still exciting, still keeps you engaged, and we still get into, it feels like, not the last part, because I think it's going to be 6 parts because of Takamura, but every part has a moment. It's like, damn, I gotta see what this next fight was going to go down, and the way he writes is almost like you don't know who's going to win, which I do. That's almost like real boxing. Some people don't end up fighting, some people do end up fighting. Like, let's say Sendo beats Ricardo, and then Ippo has to face Sendo at the end, but he faced Miyano and he fights Ricardo in the sparring match, So, as a reader, I wouldn't want that to happen. But as a boxing fan, I understand that sometimes that's how real life works. But yeah, thanks for this one. Checking that like button. Comment how I did in this video. I'll catch you in the next round.